Winning Blueprint presents
In the Lab Room.
Exclusive.
I want a nice clean bout. When the bell rings, I want you to come out swinging. Head to head.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to this In the Lab Room exclusive head-to-head matchup. And this is a series that I'm in the middle of. I'm kind of on the fence in terms of whether to turn this into a series onto itself or just continue doing these as I get requests that make a lot of sense. This is the second one that I've done, both of them being requested by YouTube subscriber Casey Tyler. He was the one that posed the question before about, hey, Cam Newton versus Russell Wilson, which one you got? So now I come back and he asked me again, hey, I really enjoyed that. How about you do one between Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson? And I said, hey, that's not a bad idea at all. And so here I am doing another video like the one I did before. So I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll allow you to decide whether this should be turned into a series and we should do more head-to-head matchups, or should this just be one of those types of situations where if I get a good question, to just answer it individually as an exclusive episode. Whatever the case may be, I'll allow you guys to decide that. But today, I've gotten the request from Casey Tyler, the YouTube subscriber Casey Tyler, asking me to break down and decide which one of these receivers is better, Calvin Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald. So much like I did with Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, I'm going to go to the tail of the tape between these two and come out with a winner. And this one is going to be tough because to me, there's not a question. These are your two best receivers in the league. And you can throw Andre Johnson in there if you like. I don't mind if you do. But to me, these two right here are the best that the NFL has to offer at the wide receiver position. And so let's look at the two in the tail of the tape as Calvin Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald go head to head. So we go to the board. And in the red corner, you have the 6'3", 215-pound monster, the technician, Larry Fitzgerald. And in the blue corner, we have the most physically imposing receiver we've ever seen in the National Football League, and it's not close. We have the one, the only, hovers to Muggletron, Calvin Johnson. So here we go. Off and running. We start with speed. Now, Larry Fitzgerald has never been a guy that's wowed you with the blazing speed, but he's not slow. He's deceptively fast. And the play that always jumps out of my mind is the one in the Super Bowl versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. He catches a quick slant and absolutely splits the seam, runs by the entire Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and scores a touchdown late in the fourth quarter. It takes speed to do that. Now look, I know the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't the fastest bunch in the league, but they're not the Big Ten either, okay? It's not like he's running past guys and it's like they're running in place. This isn't the Big Ten. Those guys can run. He ran faster. He ran by all of them. But Calvin Johnson at 6'5" with those long strides. Look, he's out there running a 4.3 40. Ridiculous. Once he gets to top speed, you're not going to catch him. This guy is a freak of nature, and the speed is unquestioned. You turn your head for a second, and he's run by you. It's not a contest here. In terms of speed, hovers to Muggletron. The blue corner gets the check here. So now we move on to leaping ability. And you look at Calvin Johnson, and with that 6'5" frame, long and athletic, the guy can still jump out of the gym. And so that's what makes this guy such a tough cover, because he's already taller than you are as a defensive back. And even if you can jump out of the gym as a D-back, so can this guy as well. And so it makes it that much tougher a cover for Calvin Johnson. But you look at Larry Fitzgerald, and we know that this guy can get up there with the best of them. We've seen it. Remember that run to the Super Bowl in that 2009 season when he took his team and put them on his back and took them to the Super Bowl? You remember the play against the Panthers, against the Falcons, where he went up against two defenders, snatched the ball out of the air, and then handed it to the referee, as if he didn't just climb the ladder and put his cup on a couple of helmets of some defenders and snag it down and score a touchdown. I mean, the guy is phenomenal in that respect. And so leaping ability for me is a wash. So you get a check in the blue corner, and you get a check in the red corner for leaping ability, because both of them can flat out jump in this league, and not many can jump higher than these two guys right here. So now we go to hands. And for me, this one is extremely simple. Calvin Johnson is a guy that can catch the football. He makes plays. Again, physically imposing, the most physically imposing receiver in the league by far, not close. However, last season, this guy dropped, count them, 14 catchable passes. Now, in his defense, and I was saying this all season long, look, when you're the only target on a football team, I know you're getting the ball. You know you're getting the ball. The defense knows you're getting the ball. Your quarterback knows you're getting the ball. It's tough to not have some drops, because he was the only thing smoking in Detroit last season. And at times, Stafford forced the football to this guy when it was nothing there. But if it's in your general vicinity, and receivers will tell you this, if I get my hands on it, I should catch the football. And as many targets as this guy had, you're going to drop the ball. It makes sense, right? The more targets you have, the more opportunities you have to drop the football. But in that same breath, the more targets you have, the more opportunities you have to catch the football. And so 14 drops, inexcusable. And so you look at Larry Fitzgerald, this guy is a technician. He does not drop the football. I don't care where it's thrown. I don't care if it's an inch off the ground. I don't care if it's 6 inches too far to the left. I don't care if it's 6 inches too high. Larry Fitzgerald, if he gets his hands on it, and we've seen this guy make some amazing one-hand stabs. If it's close to Larry Fitzgerald, anywhere in his catch radius, go ahead and book it as a reception. This one, not up for debate. Hands definitely goes to the technician, Larry Fitzgerald. So, red corner gets the check in the hands department. So now we get to route running. And this is the basic of the most basic principles at the receiver position. How well of a route runner are you? How good do you get in and out of breaks? How well do you cut off your routes? I don't want guys rounding off routes and giving defensive backs opportunities to undercut passes. How well do you come back 14 to 12? How sharp is that dig route? When it's a 14-yard dig route, is it straight across? Are you wandering up the field? How well are you coming back to the football on that comeback? I need to know. And Calvin Johnson is a big guy. And when you're as big as he is, sometimes it's hard not to round off that 14 back to 12. It's hard not to round off that 15-yard dig route. It's hard because you're so big, hard for you to be extremely agile and chop those feet up and break down. This guy's 6'5". He's huge. So, looking at route running, you look at Larry Fitzgerald, and I just said he's the technician. This guy gets it as a receiver. Everything he does it extremely efficient. And that includes route running. There's not a route in the route tree that this guy can't run precisely. He runs everything the way it's supposed to be ran. If it's 12 back to 10, believe me, it's 12 back to 10 on the dime. If it's a 15-yard dig route and he's supposed to come across the 45-yard line, he'll come exactly straight across the 45-yard line. If he needs to come back on that comeback route out toward the sideline, guess what? It's sharp down the line, back to the quarterback, dragging the feet, toe tap as he catches it and falls out of bounds. Larry Fitzgerald is a technician, especially when talking about route running. Again, this one isn't up for debate. Route running goes to the technician, Larry Fitzgerald. So in the red corner, we get a check. So now we go to physicality. And I just talked about the most physically imposing receiver in the league being Calvin Johnson. Now, Larry Fitzgerald is no chump. How many times have you seen Larry Fitzgerald pumped on the field? None. Zero. Because it doesn't happen. This guy isn't a chump. You're not going to push him around. Guys don't challenge Larry Fitzgerald at the line of scrimmage. If they do, they're looking to get beat off of the line of scrimmage. And again, I just told you this guy is deceptively quick and fast. So if you want to try your hand at jamming this guy at the line of scrimmage, good luck. You're not going to win that battle. However, Calvin Johnson at 6'5", 235 is a man. And there isn't a cornerback in this league that wants any part of getting physical with Calvin Johnson. It's not a good idea. It's not a good business decision, as Deion Sanders would say. Not a smart move. And so, this one, much like route running and hands, isn't up for debate. This one goes to Heavens to Megatron. Calvin Johnson, blue corner, gets the check in physicality. So now we go to durability. How much can you rely on these guys week in, week out, season in, season out? This one's pretty simple as well. These guys are indestructible. They do not get hurt. And even when they do, you don't know about it because these guys are warriors at the wide receiver position. Go look at the numbers. These guys do not miss games. And so, simply put, this one is a wash for durability. So, red corner gets a check. And so does the blue corner. So now we get to the final category. And you look at both sides. After 6 rounds of head-to-head action, we've got 4 checks in the blue corner for Heavens to Megatron, Calvin Johnson. And we've got 4 checks for the technician, Larry Fitzgerald. So now we come to overall. And honestly, this is a tough decision. It's like you're asking me as a parent to pick which one of these kids is my favorite. You can't ask a dad or a mom to pick one of their kids as their favorite. Are you crazy? You can't do that. It's not fair. So you asking me to pick between the technician, Larry Fitzgerald, and Heavens to Megatron, Calvin Johnson, it doesn't feel fair. But because I am who I am, and I'm very opinionated, of course, I have an opinion on this matter. And the way I look at it is, if I was starting a franchise tomorrow, which one of these receivers would be the guy that I would take to start my franchise with? I love Larry Fitzgerald. And as much as I want to say, I'm taking Larry because Fitz gets it. He does everything extremely well. He's great at everything he does. He's a model citizen off the field. He's the guy you want as the face of your franchise because he gets it not only on the field, but off it as well. Just a class act all the way around. You love this guy, Larry Fitzgerald. How can you not? But in that same breath, Calvin Johnson is a one-of-a-generation type of athlete. He's a machine. They don't build them like this too often. You could look at Julio Jones and say, hey, he's not that far off, but he's not Calvin Johnson. He's all right, but he's not real in terms of Calvin Johnson. Okay? There is only one heavens to Megatron. And for that, if I had to start a franchise tomorrow, forget about the drops, okay? Forget about all of that. We're talking about 6'5", baseball mitts for hands, 235 pounds, runs a 4.3 40, jumps out of the gym, physically imposing, is at least 5, most times 6 or 7 inches bigger than the defender trying to cover him. It's hard to turn down an athlete, a machine, a monster like Heavens to Megatron. And for that reason alone, once in a generation type of receiver, overall, I'd have to go with the man in the blue corner, Heavens to Megatron, Calvin Johnson. And for that, blue corner gets the checkmate. Your winner of this head-to-head matchup is Heavens to Megatron, Calvin Johnson. And so, there you have it. As much as I want to say Larry Fitzgerald is the man because he is, Calvin Johnson is a one-of-a-kind machine. You don't get them every day. You don't get 6'5", 235, physically imposing, 4.3 40, jumps out of the gym, all-world athlete every day. You just don't. And so, for that reason, Megatron is the victor in this one. Hope you enjoyed that. Looking for your feedback as to whether to turn this into a series or just leave it as an In the Lab Room exclusive. Have a good one.
In the lab.
Exclusive.